Hello everyone, it's Oceanid and welcome to the video. Today we are making a Fruits of the Spirit pumpkin where I embroider one trait onto each section of the pumpkin, which I'll show at the end of the video. So here I am cutting out the fabric for the pumpkin. I've already ironed it before this clip, so it's flat, a whole lot easier to work with. For this pattern, which I will link in the description below, I need 2 circles, so I've created a quarter circle cutout to trace. I am using 2 blue fabrics for this, despite calling it a pumpkin, so we're just going to pretend that pumpkins can naturally be blue. I don't actually own any orange fabric, and I like blue better anyways, so we're going with that. If you do want to make this pattern, remember to pick coordinating fabrics so that we can have that lovely visual interest without it being too busy or clashing. I will note that because I need 9 sections at the end of this, I'm not actually completely following the pattern, but in some ways what I'm doing is easier. I've now cut out both of the circles, as you can see, so I arranged the fabrics right side together and I'm pinning it around the edges in preparation for actually sewing it together. You might notice that I pinned all the way around. This is just to make it a bit easier for me while sewing, even though I am going to leave a gap to turn it inside out after I'm done sewing to stuff it. In the clip, I look super confident in the sewing, but it is actually sped up to 20 times the actual speed, so it's a bit of a trick of the vision, but I don't have enough words to fill in 3 hours of video, and I'm relatively confident you guys don't want to watch 3 hours of video either. Here I've moved on to stuffing the pumpkin, so you can see my bag of stuffing in the background, and I'm just pushing it all through the little hole that you can't actually see most of the time because my hands are in the way. This took probably around 20 minutes to stuff the entire thing, which, to be honest, I don't know if that's a short or a long time, but it certainly felt like a long time while I was doing it, so take that with what you will. I'm not going to make you watch all of that though, so we'll skip forwards to the next part where I finally start using some embroidery thread. What I'm doing here is just shoving a needle through the middle-ish of the pumpkin, as I'm going to use the thread to separate each section and make it look more like a pumpkin and less like a pillow. I then measured out the thread to sew the opening closed, which I ended up not even getting on camera for like half of it, so here's me doing it after I remembered to move my camera up so you guys could see. All I'm doing is either a ladder stitch or an invisible stitch, pretty much different names for the same method, which hides both the thread and the edges of the fabric inside the pumpkin where you can't see it, making it look all smooth and tidy and clean. Next up, and back down to the previous angle, we're back to working on separating the sections of the pumpkin. I'm using green thread for this so that it stands out just a little bit without being in your face. I kept having to detangle the thread as I was working due to how long it was, but that's what happens when you make a large pumpkin. At this point, Jenny decided she was going to hop onto my desk, which I don't mind too much as I was just sewing rather than painting or sculpting, which could get into her fur. Unfortunately, she did decide to sit right on top of my thread pile though, so I had to pull her off my desk. You can see each time I go through that center spot in the pumpkin, it starts looking more like one. The entire technique here is just to go through it the first time and then wrap the string around the pumpkin and go through again until you have enough sections. Most of the trick here is just making sure that you line up your string to roughly where it should be, especially if you want equal sections, which, given I needed 9 sections rather than an easier 8 sections, definitely made this more challenging. Now that the actual pumpkin part of this is complete, other than the leaf, which I didn't record the creation of, it's time to start embroidering the words onto each section. You'll notice I changed the camera angle again in hopes that you guys would be able to see better, though the success of that is definitely debatable given that my hands are in the way a lot of the time. I didn't record all of the embroidery for a few reasons, including the fact that it's quite difficult to record, but here's just a bit of me starting the first section. If you know embroidery at all, you'll know that you typically put the knot on the side that you don't want people to see. But since I can't do that here, wherever I had an end, I made a small knot and then hid the end by cutting it right where the needle came out of the fabric. I don't think that's actually visible on camera at any point, so hopefully that made sense. Now to show the completed pumpkin. The words I embroidered were love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faith, gentleness, and self-control. If you're curious as to why I chose these, I wrote an explanation down in the description. Wherever and whenever you are, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day or night. Thank you for watching.